Hello, and welcome to the New Black, a little honey hole where we muse, ramble, and reimagine the Black experience through the eyes of a millennial Black woman. And I am her, Christy. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts, feelings, dreams, experiences, in the hope of it releasing even to someone who may share my feelings, experiences, and or need support on handling life as a Black person. And if you're new, if you are returning, thanks for coming back. I missed you. I hope you missed me because I am still getting in the swing. This is I'm not very consistent yet, but I will be. So I'm gonna start the episode the same way I do every episode, and that is with our Lush libation of the night. And tonight I'm keeping it simple. My beau sends me wine shipments, sometimes weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, sometimes monthly, sometimes every other month, just depending on how fast I'm moving through the wine, y'all. Really, just how fast I'm going. Sometimes are faster than others. I also take the wine with me, like if I'm visiting family, visiting friends. You know, you want to show up in the end, you show up with some wine. And so I picked up some today, so we're gonna keep it simple. Tonight we are sipping on a little bit of Riesling, by a brand called Brie. I have never had this brand before, but it's definitely for the girls. You know, my ladies, you know we love something cute and we love something sweet. Sometimes I'm not a huge sweet wine drinker anymore, but when I do want something sweet, this is a happy medium. This is my first time trying it, but it's good. It's a medium sweet. It is by the Brie collection, so keep it breezy with the Brie collection if you want some. So I have had a sip or two, but we'll do an honorary pour for my people who are listening, and you cannot see me enjoying this delicious wine. So we'll have a little ASMR for you as we pour up another few ounces. We're watching our figure, so we're not drinking too much. So yeah, that's our Lush libation of the night. And I hope you're pouring up a little bit for yourself, because tonight we're gonna go there a little bit. We're gonna talk about some things, but not all bad. You know, the world we're in is bad enough, but we're gonna look into hopefully some bright spots. And maybe I'll do a summer wine series on my YouTube about what I'm drinking this summer, things I like to drink in the summer because it's so hot. We'll do a Lush summer series. That'll be fun. But so, you know, we're gonna do fun stuff this summer. But oh, cheers, y'all. Clink, clink, clink for my listeners who aren't watching. Yeah, this is a good sweet. It's not too sweet, but it's definitely, if you like a sweeter Riesling, one that's not as dry, definitely try this one. So that's our Lush libation of the night. So let's jump on in. We all know what's happening in our world currently, and specifically in our country. And it's tough, I'm sure, for all women. But I'm not talking about all women right now. I'm talking to my people, my girls. I know it's hard. And I was talking to my mom. We were catching up on our usual. We haven't talked in a minute just because between the last couple of weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, between my travel schedule, her moving, work for everyone, and just, personal stuff, we haven't had our time to really gab. So Sunday, we were both in the bed resting from our weekend. She had a lit weekend. I had a lit weekend. We were supposed to recover on Sunday. So, I'm catching up, and it was a lot of petty drama, usual family stuff. Your uncle's a fuck up, whatever. And, she's also telling me about some other stuff going on with her personally. Not super bad or not good either, just stuff. And as we're talking, I forgot what part or where we were in the conversation that prompted it, but she said to me, this is the first time in my life that I feel okay if I don't have any grandchildren. That's what she said to me. And this is a woman who loves children. She has been kind of wanting for me to have a child for a very long time. Not as early as her. My mom had me 3 days after her 20th birthday. So we both 2 Scorpio women living in the same house, child. Another story for another day. But, she was a young woman deciding to raise a child. And I can remember when I was 19 going on 20. I think I was a sophomore in college. Yeah, sophomore in college. And I couldn't imagine having to make that decision as a freshman in college. An 18-year-old girl figuring out stuff. I just couldn't imagine. So to hear her say that, someone who I've had to constantly almost berate into submission about not worrying about my uterus. I have had to get on my mama about this. You need to worry about your uterus. If these are my kids, I have to take care of them. You don't have to do that. And so to hear her say that, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I do have a younger sister who is 24. So we have a bit of an age gap. But we both seem to be kind of similar on our stance on children. And at this season in our life, for her and for me, it's a no for now. I'm not saying forever. I can't speak for her if it's forever or not. But she's 24 and she's like me when I was 24. And it's like, no. Why would I do that? So, my mom had been kind of just settling into the idea just because she didn't have a choice. But now it is her choice. And she's starting to, she said that to me and it took me aback. I was like, wow. And she was like, because the way things are going and just in general, I've always had to worry about you too. Then having grandchildren, I would have to worry about them even more, it seems. And it just doesn't make sense that my potential grandchildren could be facing worse than my own children or even me. And I was like, yeah, that's crazy. But to hear her say that was wild. And I think this, with Roe v. Wade and our abortion rights and body autonomy and privacy rights, more specifically, it's just not about abortion. It's a bigger conversation to me. I know people who've had abortions. I have not personally had an abortion. Hell, even my own mama told me that she even faced the thought of having to have an abortion, because again, she was really young. We didn't talk about this recently, but it's something we've talked about in the past, because we're very honest with each other, and she expressed, her experience and what happened. And by God's grace and maybe of my own fruition, as me and God having a conversation and deciding that was my mom, he changed her mind, and we went on about our business, and here we are 35 years later. But, or 34, 35 years later. But seeing all those sides of it, it is what it is. But for me, I just realized that what's happening, especially as a Black woman, and a Black person in general too, but since we're starting with abortion, we'll say women, a Black woman, it's just way bigger than our right to choose. It's way bigger than that. I feel like what we're dealing with is something a lot more sinister, a way bigger picture, a lot worse than just not being able to choose to have an abortion. Because I choose not to have kids all the time. Like, that's a constant decision I make in my life. I do not choose to procreate at this time. If God has another plan, he has another plan. But I firmly choose to not procreate. So I would still appreciate my right to choose to terminate said pregnancy if I wanted to, but I don't even think that far. So we're not even getting that far. But what we're dealing with is something so bad. It's like something deeper than just even a physical thing. It's almost like a spiritual war against a group of people who are so hungry and driven by power over a world that kind of, in the grand scheme of your life journey and spirit, it's not really that important. And for a need for self-preservation for a world, again, that we don't even take care of properly, that we don't do right by. I mean, people so desperate that they would do anything to protect a way of life that has been hundreds of years in the making. It's really that deep. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of years in the making. Not just here in America, all over the world. But here on a whole nother level. And it's like, really, how do we even combat that? How do we push back? How do we fight? How do we move? And we get so many solutions and answers, and people have so many opinions about it, but in actuality, to try to do something hundreds of years, undo something hundreds unleashed on an unsuspecting group who had a different way of thinking, a different type of lifestyle, a different mentality, who had no idea what was coming for them. Had no way to prepare. For hundreds of years. How do we in this small time combat something like that? How do we get out of something like that? And I say that too, especially when whatever tools, whatever knowledge, whatever information that connects to us deeply, we don't even have. We don't know. I used to take pity in the fact that as a black person, I didn't know where I came from. And as I'm having conversations with like some of my African friends, people who grew up in Africa, people in different parts of Africa, different countries, different cultures, different tribes, and you really talk to some of them, especially if they're pretty open or not super traditional, have an open mind, they give you some insight. And one of the insights that I've gained from that is that even though they are on that land, grew up there, born there, raised their whole families from there, they themselves don't have much knowledge, record, history of even who they were pre-colonization. And that's wild to me. And so it feels like for us, you can feel really lost. And that kind of is what sent me like on a journey to really start tapping into spirit. Because in myself, I always knew. I know who I am. It's just nothing to confirm that, if that makes sense. I always knew that there was something great, powerful, special inside of me that I think we all have in us as black women, as black men, as black people. But it's just, I think, so much programming that we lose touch with that internal barometer. And so to really even get a grasp of it, I think some of the things we have to do are, number one, give yourself grace. Give other black people grace. Oh, Lord, I said it. Just give other black people grace as well. And I'm not saying be disrespected, but give each other grace and give yourself grace. Especially in these times. Give yourself grace. Get grounded. Do whatever makes you feel good, makes you feel healthy, makes you feel right. Because, like I said, when somebody's been plotting against you for hundreds of years, destroying your history, destroying your knowledge, destroying your background so bad that you have no idea even where to start sometimes. Because you have to undo so much in order to get even a little bit of traction, to even start to understand. And so you can't undo hundreds of years of destruction. Let's say 500 or 600 years of destruction. You can't undo in 100 years. That's just not even possible. Especially when you're kind of lost. And so I just say, please, y'all, just give yourselves grace. Remember to just love on yourself, love on each other, support each other, criticize in private, commend, love, respect in public. I don't know why that's so hard for some of y'all, but please. Criticize in private, commend, love, respect in public. And I know that can be so hard, but it has to be done. It has to be done, y'all. I'm sorry. In that same vein of grace, love and forgive yourselves. Forgive the people, even in your family, who may have done you wrong. I ain't saying you gotta forget. I ain't saying you gotta go to. But to get the kind of clarity you want and need, you're gonna have to forgive. Love on. And I have to work on some of these things too. But that's just something I know has to be done. And another thing too for me, in this time I'm running into, I feel like I'm learning to question everything except myself. I'm questioning everything except myself. And that's something I have always done. As a kid, in church, my mama, my grandma, my granddaddy, anything anybody said to me, I had questions. Even now, I question everything. Sometimes twice. And so, if it's not clear enough to anyone now to start asking some real questions about everything you can think of, what you've been taught about everything, what you learned about everything, what you think you know about everything, you need to question it. Question it, read, learn about other things. Keep an open mind. Because one thing that I know for me that it has helped me do is to be able to hear other people's opinions, thoughts, feelings, understandings, knowledge of information that maybe I don't agree with, don't know about, don't know enough about. I can listen to someone's opinion that I don't agree with, but I'm always deal in facts. And that's just that. And if I don't believe something is fact, or there is not actual fact, and even some facts that depend on the source, I'm gonna question. But I can listen to someone's point of view, perspective, and respectfully disagree and move on. I'm not trying to convince anybody to believe what I believe, but I found a lot of peace in my life, and I hope for every other Black woman that I come in contact with, don't come in contact, don't know, that you find the same peace, especially now, more than ever now. More than ever, I want you to find that peace so you can really tap into your spirit and intuition. Because if you don't trust yourself, you won't ever hear it. If you don't listen to yourself, you won't ever hear it. If you don't trust yourself, you won't ever get free. Not ever. Never, never, never. So, I would say that. And my main takeaway from it all is that I'm just done, as a Black woman, having to constantly put myself on the line for others. Because when one group of people can shamelessly or several groups of people can shamelessly cape for, lie, kill, steal, cheat, demoralize in the name of protecting their own without remorse, without regret. Why can't I? So I say lean into being the villain, y'all. Respectability politics out the window. I'm done. I've been done for a long time with that anyway. But it almost just seems like a scheme of foolishness. It just feels foolish. The angry black person. Why shouldn't I be angry? I should be angry. It's like reverse psychology. And so I've decided I'm going to just lean into being the villain. Yes, I am angry. I'm angry until people respect me as a black woman, black men, black children, black bodies. Until we can learn to respect that, I am the villain. And it's not much more to be said about it. Being nice, being humble, being docile, being sweet has gotten us nowhere. So if I'm already the villain, then I might as well lean in on being the villain. I'm gonna be the villain. I ain't saying everybody do that, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just be the villain. Why not? I've done that a lot of my life too. I can lean in on being the villain. If it's me, fine, I'll be the villain. Especially when I know in my mind that I'm not. But since you think that I am, all right, I'm gonna be the villain then. So those are just some of my thoughts. Like I said, I don't really have any rhyme or reason. I have points that I be wanting to kind of talk about, but this whole thing has really just got me thinking about that, and even thinking about what I can do to better help the cause, the culture, the class. And for me, that's what I'm gonna do. As for me, I'm gonna turn up. So as we wrap up, I'm gonna say my word of the night is going to be I was gonna say villain, but let's go with intuition. Because intuition is that little voice inside of us that always tells us what's gonna be right for us. Because I said this before, sometimes what you think is the best decision may not be the right decision. Or sometimes what you think is not the best decision may still be, or may not be the right, what you think may not be the right decision may still be the best decision. And so I look at intuition as that tiny little voice inside. Like when it's pulling you strong, you gotta listen. Intuition for me is like God, my ancestors, the spirits, everything telling me what the answer to the question is. And every time you ignore that, you get further and further away from your truth. So let's tap into intuition, and that'll be our word for the night. So I don't have anything else on this topic, so I think that's it for me. As always, thank you for tuning in. Cheers to a lovely night, and I'll see you on the next episode.